These were the specifications for this job.
I decided to use a jig as it had curved panels that needed to be repeated. My first step was to select my material. I used 22mm MDF as it's thick, strong and more durable. I checked my measurements, then drew lines across the centres, dividing it into quarters. I then drilled a 5mm hole into the centre where the lines crossed and checked to ensure it was central. Next, I drilled a 5mm hole into a strip of MDF. I then drilled a 6mm hole in line with this 200mm further up to hold my pencil. I then put my 5mm drill bit through the MDF strip and into the centre of my jig. This gave me a pivot to draw my circle around. Once my circle was drawn, I marked out my waist, then carefully cut it out with a jigsaw. I sanded it smooth and then checked all the measurements were correct before marking it up with all the information needed. I decided to fix a fence onto two of the sides so I could locate the jig quickly and easily. The jig was now complete and ready to be tested. I marked out my component using the jig, then did a quick rough cut to get rid of most of the waste using the jigsaw. I tidied all the clutter away and then got the 1/2" router from the locker unit. I fitted a wheel over router cutter, then fixed my jig and component to the bench using clamps. I set the depth and then put on my PPE and plugged it in. I routed around the jig and then checked the cut using a tape measure. The jig was accurate, so I sanded my components smooth and then packed away the tools I had used into their correct locations.